Welcome, welcome! With that, we are live for another Pepakura Tuesday. It's super exciting to be here. We are definitely going to be doing some really fun stuff tonight. We're also just going to be kind of bouncing all over the place to really try and talk about something that I use a lot on this channel, but haven't necessarily gone into great detail about the specifics of. And that is the Join Adjacent Edges tool. Quick shout out to several people on the Discord as well as over on my Facebook page who are looking for some insight into this phenomena and the way it affects the final shape of the 2D templates. So that's why we're doing this tonight, and that's why it's actually getting incorporated into my upcoming basics series, which has been a lot of fun to put together so far. So yeah, we're gonna dive kind of right into this. These are a set. Well, this is a Halo ODST torso base that was sent to me by somebody who was looking for some help actually using a sister program to Pepakura called Armorsmith. Armorsmith is a program that it's used to not only scale objects well, but it's also used to scale them to sort of a 3D dummy of yourself to try and get scale for overall shapes correct. And you can actually scale in multiple different dimensions, unlike Pepakura, which is sort of static and a ratio all around. And it's a very interesting program. It's just not something that I use a ton of the time because I don't feel the need to be perfectly honest. Hey there from Mexico, Red Spider 32. Good to have you on board. We are looking, well, first and foremost tonight, we're going to be looking at this model here because somebody over in the Armorsmith group was looking for some assistance as to why the 3D deformation tool, the free deformation tool, was affecting their 2D so egregiously. It was really woodging some of the parts apart and creating weird triangles in there. And I wanted to kind of try and explain that. So we've got this model here, which is the model in question. But we also have some other things that I think will really help us get to where we need to go. Now, let's see here. Where is it? There it is. So this is something I haven't really done on this channel before, but I think is worth talking about in the context of this. Oh, thank you, Red Spider 32. Much appreciated. I hope you get something from the stream. This is just a sphere. It's just a sphere. It is, like most spheres, intersected vertically into wedges and horizontally into parallel lines, like a globe. It's very easy to understand in that way. And all of these are rectangles. And of course, these lines aren't perfectly smooth, but they are fairly smooth, and they do create the rough approximation of a sphere. Now, if I want to unfold this, and believe me, we are getting somewhere here with the question of how do we unfold and how do we use the Join Adjacent Edges tool. Now, I could, if I chose, specify cut line edges in the 3D edit mode, double-click all these vertical lines until I just had a bunch of vertical moons, if you will. Vertical slices of pie, we'll call them. And now, when I click Unfold, let's say I want it to be 3 inches tall so we can see this really well. Now I've just got all of these guys, and I'm not going to show any flaps because we're not working with paper here. Each and every one of these is identical, and more than identical, they're also symmetrical top and bottom. So if I wanted to, I could basically say, here's your template, make this, what is that, 12 times? Hang on. 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18. 20 times, sorry about that. Make this 20 times and it'll be a sphere. And it will be a sphere, but that might be overly complicated in terms of foam building because, as we've seen before, with lots of specialty dome pieces like this, you can basically get a nice smooth dome with 2 to 4 pieces. So what happens if we want to make a sphere out of, say, 4 pieces? Well, Now we get to be a little more creative. Let's undo this unfold. We will apply the open edge just so that we can see what we're doing. But now, let's start getting rid of some of these. Let's get rid of that, there, and all of these. And then, let's see, those and that. And now it's bisected into 4. I like that. Bisected isn't the right word. Forgive me. It's intersected into 4 pieces. I like that a lot. But when we go to unfold it, you'll see it's kind of a little wonky. You can see the rough outline of the lines we want to follow, those curved lines, but they're all over the place because Pepakura is trying its best not to have any of these faces intersect and for them to sort of follow a logical sense. What we want to do is instead, we can do this in the 2D. I'll actually show it like this. Let's just center all of these disjoins so that we create like footballs type shapes. Very similar to the shapes we just created, only a little fatter and a little broader in their arc. Just like that. Here it is. And you can see actually when I go to the, I'm going to apply the open edge. You can see when I go to the 3D, where's the one I wanted? This one. Nope. I think it's this one. You can see it's central all the way down here and then a lot of vertical lines. Now, when I click unfold again, because I'm actually starting to lose the plot a little, here we go. We can go through and we can do this to all of these things. We can. It's not terribly difficult. In fact, even if I were to just go through and do this to 2 of them, you can see that without a doubt, these are symmetrical. Not just not only they're identical piece to piece, they are symmetrical vertically, like this, and horizontally, which is great for us. So now, we like this a lot. And I could, if I so chose, just cut these out with ignoring all those lines, and it would create a pretty decent sphere. But we can make the patterns a little easier to understand with a tool that's in the 2D menu. Now you'll note I've done 2 of these very cleanly, and 2 of these I've left very much messed up. Bear with me here. When I go to the 2D menu, and I go to join adjacent edges, I'm going to set this threshold to the maximum allowance, which in this case is 10 millimeters. Hey Diaxis, how you doing? In this case, the maximum allowance in the Join Adjacent Edges tool is 10 millimeters. So we are going to max that out, click OK. And now we can see down here, we've created 2 symmetrical pieces that have eliminated all those small breaks, exchanging them for a slightly smoother shape overall. Here, I'll bounce back and forth. Control Z. See, it not only does it just close those gaps, it actually sort of lengthens lines and shortens up gaps until it creates the desired shape. In fact, let's zoom in even further, and we can kind of watch this on a very small scale. It's actually jumping to the middle of those edges and creating that new join. And it moves these middle edges too, so that we have places that we can register between the 2 parts, which is a great thing to be able to do. But when we look at something like this that's a little less clean, a little less nice, and I go through and I do it, it sort of works. The machine will attempt to the best of its ability to cram all those pieces together. And at first look, at least on the outer edges here, it kind of looks like it's working, until you look at the inner lines and see that they're all messed up. Everything, good evening, Melvin, glad you could join us. Until you get to the interfaces here and you see that all these lines are real messed up. And that is because if you actually look at where these lines are joining up, it's trying on some of these to join vertically, to join horizontally, or in some horrific cases to just join diagonal edges together. And it's a mess, and it doesn't really work. Like, see, there's intersecting lines up here, and this right here was clearly too big for the machine to even understand how to push those 2 parts together. So not only did it not join at a corner here, it created this garbage open edge that connects to nothing. In fact, if I try to edit it, it'll try to disjoin along that edge, and not only does this not fit anymore, it would never go back here, and there's no line joining this right here. And that's one of the craziest things about this. Hey there, Orlando. It's going pretty good. We're kind of talking about how the process of joining adjacent edges in Pepakura leads to very strange images, sometimes appearing in the 2D menu. And here's where we're going with this. This process happens, right? So it just occurs. And it's something that we use because we can create really clean parts like these. But sometimes, could I make the Sentinel Fortnite helmet? Do you mean like the Sentinel, like the Marvel Sentinel? I don't know if I have that. Oof, that sounds like a big beefy boy. Maybe another time. We'll think on it. Right now I'm really neck deep in all this Star Wars. I know a lot of people have been seeing these. The Republic Commando, the initial one at least, turned out really, really nice. I'm really happy with it. So much so that I'm digitizing my updated patterns, and I'm gonna put those for sale on my Etsy. The Pepakura will always be free. Don't get me wrong, but for some added details, like $3, I did all the work for you. What are you gonna do? But I've been neck deep in that. I don't know when I'm gonna get to Fortnite again. We will see. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about this, because this is a process that occurs everywhere. Now, on a piece like this, it doesn't really have texture like it does. So I could show you what happens when I join these adjacent edges like this. You see, it sort of is able to clean it up here. But in here, where it doesn't quite know what to do with itself, you see the pattern doesn't actually connect, because it doesn't even know how to reconcile that with the way the pattern, the texture is being wrapped around the object. So it just leaves a gap. There's such an aggressive point here, there's such an aggressive gap that it's trying to close, that it just can't put a texture there. And sometimes that happens, and it also manifests, like we said, in these weird shapes that don't actually meet together, which is garbage, and it sucks. And it's a sign that maybe we missed something or we skipped a step. Now, here's something I want to point out. Even some of my nicer templates that I really like, that again I have had quite decent success with, yeah, these templates have those errors in them. In fact, you can see them all over the place. There's such wide gaps over the top of the helmet, that you can see it's creating these triangles all over the place. Again, they still create a very, very quality final product, but those gaps still occur. And even along these edges, you can see there are breaks in the actual outer lines. And I just kind of accept that that happens sometimes. And they're meant to be cut straight. But sometimes those things can manifest in uneven ways, as was the case with the gentleman who brought this particular piece to my attention. See, in Armorsmith, he was going through and he was doing something that's called a freeform deformation. With freeform deformation, you can actually go through and start woodging around the 3D while you've got 2D hanging out. And it will do so, but it warps the 2D a little bit in the same way that the Join Adjacent Edges tool does. Where if you're not careful, you'll get woods where just two parts sort of slide apart, or maybe there's a weird extra triangle breaking out. And that's just a product of the fact that we're trying to turn three-dimensional warped polygons into a two-dimensional set of templates. It's a byproduct of that. I've actually never really worked with ODST files before. I do have a full set of Halo Infinite Master Chief armor that's edited from the Fortnite models on the channel here. One of our recent live stream series, we did a full suit of Master Chief armor, and then we rolled straight into doing a full suit of War Machine armor, which is really fun. So if you're curious about that, check those out. Those are free. They're just click around, you'll find them. But this is a very particular instance where I believe the gentleman was attempting to push the back end inward. And obviously it was with more complex 3D tools than Pepakura has, but we shall attempt to sort of showcase what's going on here. Because when I go to unfold this, or undo the unfold, if I were to just push in, say, 1 point here, just mess with it a little bit, when I do that, I think there's an extra face there. I don't think those are actually connected. That's weird. Sorry, but let's try this instead. Let's say I just wanted to move a portion of this inward slightly. And I just went like that. When I go to unfold it again, oop, here it is. Now, you'll note where that edge tries to meet. Oh, I don't want flaps. Here we go. Where that edge wants to meet, this no longer meets evenly, and there's a gap there. Now, if you do this after you've joined adjacent edges through Armor Smith, essentially, what you wind up doing is just ripping it apart to create that gap, even as it's trying to say, there's no gap there. I've joined those edges, and that's part of the reason this person was having some real issues with this model. I would like to try and give this model my own stab at it, just because I think this is a little overly complicated. If for no other reason than it looks like it's trying to avoid having to print across multiple pages, which I understand, but I think it's kind of unnecessary. So instead, let's go like this, and we'll show you how I would use the Join Adjacent Edges tool to clean up this model. We are going to completely get rid of it. We don't want any 3D info. We're just going to center this model and start with our own 3D menu, edit mode, specify some cut line edges. Let's see how fast we could do this, actually. I bet you we could do this pretty quickly, because this is pretty straightforward. One thing that I am noticing is I think there's a couple of 3D objects sitting here. I actually think there's more than one thing happening here, as it were. If I go to 3D menu, show object list, yep, there appears to be 6 objects. To that end, I'm actually going to hide all but one object at a time to see what I'm working with. Great, because we don't need any of these edges. We'll just go around it. Comp that. There we go. Remember, double-clicking with the set cut line edge tool lets it try to create vast straight lines. So here we go. Great. It'll try to follow the geometry to the best of its ability, and that's exactly what we want right here. Because see, I've already unfolded those in the 3D menu. These will actually be quite easy to do when we're done. Actually, I might even make this easier on myself, because I know this isn't going to lay perfectly flat. Let's go across here. We're just going to double up all the way across, so that when we go through, oh, my love, my darling, hello. Let's see here. As we're doing this, I'll kind of poll the audience. What's everybody else working on? What's everybody else been looking at? I'm very curious. Inquiring Jadens want to know. Obviously, I've been kind of neck deep in all the Republic Commando stuff. And of course, Republic Commando leads perfectly into the Bad Batch stuff that's coming out. Because holy crap, guys, Bad Batch is about to drop, and it looks cool as hell. I'm honestly so into it. It sounds like it's going to be so cool. Noble 6. Noble 6. I don't actually know that design. Boy, I just biffed that. Hang on. Halo. Reach. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, because he's another Spartan, right? That's my understanding. Yeah, that's a cool helmet. It's got a lot more of the pointed face feel to it, which I think Master Chief lacks, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just is what it is. Let's see. Grab that, grab this. Don't need that, don't need this. Straight across. Yep, there we go. And I don't think we actually need the very top of this. I think that might be redundant. There we go. Yep, we only need the side. Hello there, Melina. You have a gold visor laying around, so you decided to put it to good use. That is an excellent reason to start a new build. I had the part laying around, and I thought, you know, I gotta. Okay. Let's see here. This. We want this part. We're going to keep this inner bit connected right there. No, actually, is this a symmetrical model? Am I creating more work for myself? Oh yeah, I am. Oh dang it! I could have been doing this both at the same time. That is a bummer. Okay, well, at least we know now. That is okay. Let's do this. Oh, zooming in. Anybody catch the new Mortal Kombat movie? Any strong opinions? Really curious, actually. You're burnt out meshing for a bit. You needed a break. Well, good news. We're here to, like, do nothing but just kind of veg out. This is actually, like, a very therapeutic thing for me at the end of a long day. I don't know about you, but ugh, I can definitely get very burnt out if I'm not careful. And this is very relaxing, I find. Let's see here. Next object. Great. Don't need that. Do need this. Let's just go up and over this real quick. Great. Clipping along. You know, I felt the same way, but I also felt okay. So we just saw Godzilla versus King Kong, and Godzilla versus King Kong was all right. I enjoyed some sequences in it a lot. I'm gonna be honest, I did. Uh, but I felt like the thing that was kind of boring about Godzilla versus King Kong was how much justifying the movie tried to do all the time to make it be like, oh, and it's perfectly reasonable that this Godzilla is fighting the King Kong, and it's scientific, and there's like a background and a story basis, and I didn't want that. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I wanted to see Big Lizard fight Big Monkey, and the fact that we needed so much, or at least the writers felt like we needed so much justification for that, was a bummer. It was a bummer. There's no Kylie in it. Yes, you're correct, and that is a bummer as well. But I will say this: a lot of people, I feel like, got really up in arms that it didn't have like a very coherent story, and I have to say there is a part of me that really didn't care about that because I really just wanted to see some very cool fight scenes, and I have to say I think I saw some pretty cool fight scenes, and that was kind of my big hope for it. I really just kind of wanted to see Scorpion show up, kick ass, and leave. Ta-da! And on that front, I think it succeeded. I think it failed on a lot of other levels, which is what it is. You know, movies like that will always leave a little bit of the fan base disappointed, and I think that's inevitable. And I'm not trying to dismiss people's feelings about it. I think they're more than allowed to have those feelings, but I'm not surprised, if that makes sense. I am, however, very grateful to have gotten some good yucks out of it because I don't know. I really thought this casting for Scorpion was dope as heck, and I really enjoyed it. So there we are. Whoops, I don't need that. I need this. Oh no! Oh no! I think it just crashed. Oh god, I haven't had Pepakura crash on me in forever. No, we lost all that work. Oh god, no. Oh. I'm so sad. Live stream over. Beck, I'm gonna take a nap now. No. Okay, well, I'm gonna be real, folks. I kind of don't want to do that work again. I might do something else right now. Especially since this is just supposed to be a stream about the join adjacent edges tool. This isn't supposed to be super. This isn't supposed to be crazy, over the top, get the mission done kind of stream. I'm just trying to highlight a very particular way of using the tool. It's worth noting that you can actually do this in many different ways. We'll kind of jam on that for a moment. One thing to be really cognizant of when you're joining adjacent edges is to be aware that you're joining edges along faces that match up. Because let's say I did this, and I wanted to do these in twos. That's a really cool in twos shape. And now this matches. But let's say that instead I went like this, and rewarped this so that this was, more even in the middle right here. Well, now I'm sure some of you at least can start to see the problem going on, which is that this edge is now longer functionally than this edge, and it's not going to fit anymore. So if I actually try to line this up, you can see even around here, these lines, it's already starting to get way, way shorter than that. And suddenly it's not going to meet up here. So the join adjacent edges tool can be very, very dangerous if you're not careful. You want to make sure that you're not taking a bunch away from one edge and adding it to the other edge, because then nothing's going to meet up anymore, and up is down and nothing is real. That's just not something you want to get caught up in. You're still working on the base from Mega Man. Pepakura files. Tried to minimize the pieces, but I lost the actual shape. Don't really know what went wrong. I tell you, Melina, I would love to take a look at it for you if that's something you're open to. I'm very into trying to help troubleshoot 3D models. We do it a lot over the Discord. I've actually had several people send me models at this point that we've kind of worked through. They don't really wind up in stream because it's not necessarily something that makes for a great stream, because there's a lot of me puzzling things out in silence for a while, which is nowhere near as fun as me having, a whiskey sour and, crashing Pepakura. But if you're at all interested, and indeed if anybody is, please feel free to send me stuff. In fact, let's see, I've actually been working on and off on a couple of different things. Somebody was looking for some Jango Fett armor, and they had the base armor, which is really cool. Actually, I think this is a pretty decent model. It's not overly complicated. I could probably crank out some pretty decent armor from this. But I also, by way of that, was able to find this guy. Which, as you can see, is an extremely detailed model, but still not overly polygonal. I will probably go through and take out the base shirt, but I'll probably put the other stuff in. The file for Noble 6's chess piece makes me want to sleep rather than wasting all my paper to print it. Yeah, I feel that. Sometimes I can feel myself creating templates that are so uncomplicated that I wind up just creating a lot of paper for myself that I won't end up using again, which is not great. I try to balance it. It's hard. You do try to, sort of maximize paper space where you can. Let's see here. See if I've got a good example. You try and just keep everything as clean as possible. There's an Immortan Joe mask. I think this guy wound up over on our Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the channel at all, or some more templates, we get exclusives that make their way over there. So, check it out. There's a link down in the description. What are you going to do? Right. Great, Melina. Glad to hear it. If there's something I can do to help it out, I'll definitely take a look. What was I... Oh, right. So for instance, right now I've got these Bad Batch helmets that I've been working on, and I'm really quite happy with the way they've come out. But I can, and I did, when I initially cut them out, I did think about just making this one piece, but I actually wound up cutting this in the middle, and I didn't even use this piece, so I might remove it. You know, just thinking about how much paper it takes to print some of this, you know, if you get rid of this and if you wudge this down, you actually wind up with more like 7 pages instead of like 9 or even 10 if you do this wrong. So it's just, conservation's an important thing to check it out. Uh-oh. What's going on? What's going on? What happened to YouTube? Oh no! Is the stream over anyways? No, what? What's going on? I'm so confused. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to keep going in the hopes that you guys get to see this still. Yeah, the stream stalled on my end. I have no idea what's going on. It's raining really hard here right now in Minnesota. It's been dreary all week. But it's possible I'm experiencing some kind of interference. I'm sorry, everybody. But this has been a really crazy week. No, I'm actually going to be working on this Hunter helmet tonight and another Republic Commando, which, by the way, if you are on the YouTubes, if you're checking this out, check out our channel. I posted a poll there. What type of, which Delta Squad member should I make the final Republic Commando? Because this is just like a basic Commando. I'd really love to do a paint job of either Boss or Sev or Scorch. I think that'd be really cool. I don't know if I'm super into Fixer. It's just kind of green. I don't like the design as much. I'll say it. I'll say it. But this even still is kind of a good example of where you're still, even with very fine, very fine polygons. You can see the polygon count is pretty high for this model. Let me check here. 3D model information. Yeah, there's over 4,000 faces to this model. So you're able to really minimize a lot of those smaller breaks in the pattern in exchange for larger shapes. But even there, you can still see as I zoom in and in and in, there's little breaks in where the texture has broken up. And you don't need to pay attention to that. You can ignore it. You can, and of course, I don't recommend printing the texture anyways. So you can uncheck the texture, and it's like it's not there. It really is. And where you see things where it's like a little jagged, or maybe there's a gap that there shouldn't be, you should ignore that too, and try and cut it as cleanly and clearly as possible. That's the reason that happens. It's the join adjacent edges tool. It giveth and it taketh away. It's worth noting that I don't actually max out joining all the edges a lot sometimes, because if I were to do that for this one, you can see actually it creates a huge error on the helmet piece. Suddenly this joins at a weird blunt edge, and that's no good for anybody. In fact, I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. This is a much clearer template. But of course, I was able to get rid of all sorts of weird unjoined edges all along this thing. And that's just something to keep in mind. You know, sometimes I do multiple iterations of this, just like we talked about last week, where sometimes I'll do multiple iterations of the subdivision tool to get a cleaner final product. I'll also do multiple iterations of this. I believe for this one, what I actually did is I created this top piece, and it was completely separated around here. And then there was this bottom piece, which was sort of like a weird, odd, long rectangle that went around the side. And I joined all of those little ones, and then I put them together and joined just a little bit to make it like this clean V shape right there, instead of like 3 unsecured edges over here and another 2 over there. With J-A-E. The trouble I get with J-A-E is getting boxed ends at the dart ends. Yep. And that's exactly what just happened here. And so let me see, is there a... Let's see what happens when I do this. How bad is this going to be? Oh, it's not going to do it. That sucks. No, I don't want to save this changes to that. This is a very important model. I don't want to change that. Let's go back to this guy. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to go... Sorry, I'm trying to see this a little better. Okay, let's try it this way. So let's say we had this dome right here. Oh wait, no, I'm overthinking this. I'm going to go back to the sphere. This will be the easiest way to do this. Where did I put the sphere? He gone. Okay, seriously? There it is. Okay. Let's show an example of this with the sphere. Let's make it like the top of a helmet. So we're just looking at the top half, and I tend to do them this way, so they join kind of funny. But there we go. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, let's make it 3 inches tall so we can see everything here. So let's no, I don't want to show flaps. Don't show flaps. Let's say I got this guy. He's one half of the helmet. And this guy's the other half of the helmet. And then this is sort of the band that goes underneath, like that other helmet was. And then this one was also that other band, just like this. Now, crudely, what I would be going to do is I'd go through, I'd straighten this guy out this way. And then because this is now not the same shape, I'd go through on this side and even it out so that it's got sort of those darts on both sides. It's not 100% perfect, but it is really, really damn close. Such is the point that it makes really good templates. Oops. No. And then maybe I say something to the effect of, you know, this template's really nice, but it could be more round on the outer edge here. See how it's clipping at sort of a square edge. We'll go like that, go like this, and we'll even it out on the back too, just like this. So now that those meet, it's sort of a rounded edge here. But now, if I just take this helmet part, and I could probably quick do the other side too, just for the sake of demonstration. Yep, there we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. Doop-a-doop. Double clicking all the way around. Just trying to make sure that we get everything square and even. There we go. Nice. Okay, so this is crudely what that helmet template looks like. In fact, I could probably release half a sphere and say this is what my templates for domes have started looking like. So if I were to just say, oh, there we go. If I were to just say join adjacent edges, max it out here. Again, that's 2D menu, join adjacent edges, brings up this menu. Max it out at 10 millimeters. It's going to create a weird square edge, like what Diaxis is talking about. Hunter of the Bad Batch? Yeah, I was looking at Hunter a moment ago. Hunter is definitely going to be something that is coming out with the Republic Commando next week. So stay tuned for that. But you can see how the Join Adjacent Edges tool creates... The Join Adjacent Edges tool, it's a mouthful, creates these weird gaps right here. And we don't want to do that. But I do want to curb some pretty aggressive joined edges there. So instead, I disjoin them along these. So I've got 4 faces basically here. Join adjacent edges. Now that everything on each of those is joined, you can go right here. And you'll note that one of these is a lot smaller than the other. So now when I go 2D menu, join adjacent edges, we're just going to make this a lot smaller. Let's say like 1 millimeter. Now it only takes that one, and it creates nice corner edges here that don't end in weird, obtuse rectangles, which is the worst part of some people's foam templates. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I'm not trying to disparage anybody who puts out work for free. honestly, they're the backbone of the community, and it's really important, and I really appreciate them. But this is a really tiny thing that gets my goat a lot. And here, I'll kind of do that in reverse again so you can see what happened. And now forward again. We join adjacent edges along these. We put it together again, and then we do a slightly smaller join adjacent edges to put that together there. Assault rifle too. Are you talking about the clone commando rifle? Because I've almost got the templates for that done to add to the clone commandos, but I just haven't. I don't know if I'm gonna build it, to be honest. But there are templates there. It's just not something I feel like putting too much energy into right now, especially since I'm doing these helmets and also wrapping on some commissions and starting some commissions. So, you know, my attention's a little divided. I'm trying to get a lot done. Don't forgive me. Sorry. That, and of course, I'm still working on the basics series. I've got about God, it's got to be 20 pages of written supposition, basically, where I'm going to be going into the basics of all foam fabrication in the name of trying to be as thorough as possible. So hopefully it'll be really cool. But this is kind of part of that sort of dry running some of the ways that I do this. And it's worth noting that here, up above, where I get through on after I've gone through and done all of these joined adjacent edges, because I was completely ignoring them, this is garbage. Look at this garbage up here. And if you look at the texture, it's even crazier because there's like these extra gaps that you can't even really see because that's just the computer desperately trying to understand what's happening. You don't really see those gaps here. It fills them pretty nicely, just like it did on the Hunter helmet. You can see like there's a couple of small gaps, but for the most part, especially across the dome, this is super clean and clear. Like if you wanted to, you could print this with the texture on, and it would give you a great guide for painting. Like it just would, and that's the way it is. And I love that that's an option, you know. Let's see. Weird question. Is there anything anybody in particular would like to talk about? I know Diaxis, you brought up a really great and specific use of the join adjacent edges tool, and I've got to solve for that problem. So if anybody else has some very specific questions, please, I'll do my best to try and answer them. Yeah, I've been working on all the Bad Batch. This has been a passion project that's come out very nicely. Da, 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 da. Even tech. I know Odin Abbott had some really good templates for this as well, but I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring and just kind of do all of the helmets. Just all the helmets. Here we go. Well, I might just... Ooh. If I ever use 3D prints with foam, yeah, but it was for like a college production. They needed a couple of very fine detailed parts to add to something very quickly, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just make this little piece out of foam. They're like, great, we've already 3D printed this, so we just kind of glued it together. 3D printed parts play really well with foam. The difference between just using foam or just using 3D prints, though, is that you have to make sure that wherever you're bonding, you know, a rigid part to foam, you got to make sure that you're, you know, keeping track of it so that it's not going to be a place that gets in the way of stuff. This is not a model I've been putting too much attention to, but it is something that I've been working on and off because somebody dropped this in the Discord, and man, oh man, this is just a really gnarly looking it's not Thanos, Lord, Dark Side model. So I've just been kind of working on and off on this, trying to get some of the shapes correct. Oh, I see. Need to go under the eyelid there. Like, yes. Should like that a lot more, yeah. go. Whoa! I zoomed in too far. Sometimes your models are a little too big, so the clipping that Pepakura does sometimes can be a little aggressive. Bear with me here. I'm trying so hard. There we go. That's a little better. Do that here. Sweet. Yeah, a little bit of freeform unfolding as we near sort of the end of the stream today. There we go. Sort of breaking up this face along some natural creases in the face. Yeah, and then going around the nose. Just like that. Just like that. It's an angry little nose. Come on. There we go. Realized we hit 1,200 subscribers lately. That's pretty crazy, because Lord knows I got absolutely swamped with life. I just haven't been able to do a lot about celebrating the fact that we got all these subscribers now. Like I said, it's been cool. I think we're going to need to go into 3D a little bit and mess with that to get this nose right. But it's been cool. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This has been very fun. That's enough dark side for now. Bounce around to the next thing. Maybe keep going on those DC-17 templates that we were working on the other day. Yeah. We did get pretty far on this. We actually got quite a bit of the main body templated out. Let's see, we need this. This will also be quite important. Yep, and that just sort of meets up with the rest of it up there. That is super tight, actually. I love that. Grab that here. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. What about this guy? Is he here? Here? No, we were probably in the middle of that. Let's see. Good Lord. Why does the chest file fill 13 pages? Oh, man. I see this. That is a gnarly looking temp. Why is that so many pages? Is that both sides? Is that why it's so many pages? Oh man, that is no bueno. That is not a great allocation of resources to do it that way. I'm sorry. Let's grab this. We got this. We got the other side right here. Let's see if I join this here. Well, why doesn't that actually join there? Oh no, why is that way? Well, this might be because I think I joined this from an STL. Like this is not just a strict wavefront export, just because I was messing with it, trying to get it to play right. But oh boy, those don't actually join, and that is rough, because it means to join them, I'm basically just going to have to go like this. Set them next to each other and group them together. Oof. That's a big oof. Like, 'cause it'll work, but ugh. God, at what cost? At what weird cost? Yeah, there we go. That's a sniper blast that would all fold down inside the chassis. Why? Why Diaxis? That's so much. Was it like a commission? Did God punish you? Like what possesses you to do that, man? Good God. That is insane. Okay, we got this here. Got this outer face. I don't want to get that outer face put together. You always gotta put your outer face together. Okay, that makes more sense. You can kind of see the hands of Blender's quick decimate tool all over this model, where I was just like, I need to reduce the polygon count or I'm never going to be able to open this in Pepakura. But also, I don't want to completely retopologize it. Because that sounds hard. Okay, let's see here. What about one of these? Give him one of those. One of these. Bam, bam. There we go. I would be very interested in seeing the pics of you making it, because that is rough, my dude. I don't know. I feel like most of the Republic Commando designs just generally are super, super rough to make. They're so much more angular than your average clone. Like I'm very proud of the way this has turned out, but some of the details on this were a pain. They're just like they take time. And I think I got them. Think I got the details. It worked. So, there you go. But like, wow. Okay, let's see. That sort of goes in here. Yeah, that works. Like the way that works. There's not actually a ton more that I would do to this. Like, there's a lot of parts in here that are super unnecessary for building that I would either just probably freehand or yada yada my way out of. There's not a ton more in terms of unfolding that needs to happen, because I actually went through and did a bunch of it in the 3D window already. Basically, this is basically done here. You can kind of see that. What does that not join there? It's another remnant. Absolute if. There we go. But yeah, you can see this joins up with that, and I bet even this joins up with this right here. Yep. There it is. That's the whole thing. Yada. Gosh dang. Yeah, I'll definitely be adding this to the Republic Commando templates. Speaking of which, we're going to be dropping some more Trooper templates. This week we're dropping some Havoc templates that finally got finished up. They've been over on our Patreon up till now, but now they're going to finally drop to the public. And then, of course, we are working in the background on all this Bad Batch. So, get ready for the Bad Batch. Here we go. This goes up and over right there, and then this sort of rounded shape. Come on. Come on. There it is. Sort of grabs on down below. Yep, there we go. Barely an inconvenience. Here we go. All right, we'll just even this out real quick along this edge, because I'm super retentive. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, but this, you can see this actually, this is where this wraps around right there. It goes up across here. It becomes this weird little part. Look at that. Absolutely bananas. Okay. Grab here. Let's see, there's a circle. That circle's completely unfolded. We're done with it. It's over. It's finished. The war is over. Okay, grab this there. It's kind of a weird thing that's happening here. I don't know if I like that. Actually, we're going to grab this from there. We're going to grab this across here. Yeah, and that's going to make way more sense. Just like that. And you'll note even this is not immune from the slight errors of the join adjacent edges tool, because obviously these don't quite line up along this edge, but I'd sure like them to. And if I join adjacent edges at, the maximum, it'll kind of sort of make it. Is it perfect? No, but it will definitely work for these templates. It'll be pretty smooth, frankly. And that's really the important thing, right? Right? Oh, whoops. Undo that. There we go. To wit, I'm actually going to join this flat along this edge here. Just like that. It's crazy. I don't know why those are so weird and small, but I don't like them. I don't like them. Ugh. I don't know. I'll leave you with this close-up of the trigger. It looks very sharp. Looks very easy to put together. Yes. There we are. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This has been a really fun live stream. I'm going to try and do some more work on some Republic Commando stuff, so bear with me here. Again, thanks so much to all my patrons for continuing to support us. And please check out our live stream this Thursday. We will be doing a full build live stream, so check it out. For now, I have been Jaden. If you want to connect with me on more of this stuff, check me out over on Discord, message me on Facebook, or email me. We're open for commissions. For now, please, take care.